I've been married to my husband for many years. We have two wonderful boys together. Over the past few years, I've found myself feeling unfulfilled and disconnected in our marriage. My husband travels a lot for work, and the distance between us grew, not just physically but emotionally. A few months ago, I reconnected with an old friend from college on social media. What started as casual conversation turned into an emotional affair. We chatted frequently, sharing thoughts and feelings that I hadn't expressed in a long time. One weekend, I made plans to meet up with this friend under the guise of attending a college football game with a girlfriend. My husband was restless, I guess he could just tell. But I brushed his concerns off. The meeting didn't go as planned because he didn't feel a connection to me. But I ended up meeting someone else that night, another man with whom I felt an instant connection. I ended up with him in a hotel room that night. We had sex and I was hooked. I didn't. Over the next few weeks, things went out of control. I found myself staying out late, sometimes until 3 a.m., even on weeknights. I'd meet the AP in a hotel and we'd get down to our business. During those days, I barely paid any attention to my children, and the fact that what I was doing was abhorrent barely crossed my mind. My husband was out of town for work, and one night he called to say goodnight to the boys. They told him I wasn't home, which led to him becoming more suspicious. Eventually, he confronted me. He had checked phone records and discovered numerous calls and texts to two different men. He even found out their names. When he asked me about it, I became defensive. I told him he couldn't control me and that it was just a fling, that it wasn't a big deal. I even suggested the idea of an open marriage, thinking it might ease the tension. Understandably, he was devastated. For 2 months, we were in crisis mode. He couldn't eat or sleep and was visibly suffering. One night, things came to a head. I left him out with our friends to go see one of the other men, and apparently everyone knew what was happening. I even introduced one of my friends to him earlier that day. That night, my husband moved out. He later told me how much pain he was in during that time. He sought counseling, went to a psychiatrist, and tried to heal. He also discovered that he's codependent and believes I might have narcissistic tendencies, that I'm unable to empathize with his pain. Now he's living in a brand new home, and we've discussed the logistics of separating. He's offered to support our boys financially when they're with me, but has stated unequivocally that he's going for majority custody. I'm fine at this point with going separate ways. I believe we were broken way before my affairs took place. My dilemma is that we have a prenup in place which was written up years ago by his parents' lawyer to largely benefit him in case of a divorce. I can't remember the exact terms, but I know that I'm setting myself up for a life below the current standards if I were to divorce. I've told him that, despite everything, I would let him come back if he could genuinely express remorse. The truth is, I do feel guilty for hurting him, but I also feel conflicted about my own needs and happiness. I know I've handled things poorly and caused him immense pain. I'm reaching out because I'm confused about my feelings and what to do next. Part of me misses our life together and wonders if we can repair what's been broken. Another part questions whether going back is the right thing for either of us. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How did you navigate the aftermath of infidelity and the complex emotions that come with it? Is it possible to find forgiveness and rebuild? Or is it better to accept that the relationship has run its course? I appreciate any advice or insights you might have. Please be gentle. I'm genuinely trying to figure things out. Update. Hey everyone. Over the years, I've made a lot of mistakes in my marriage. I've had multiple affairs, 5 or 6 over the last 13 years. My husband only knew about 2 of them until recently. I've been involved with my current affair partner since last March. In June, my husband found out about this latest affair and decided to move out. Our divorce is set to be finalized next month. Despite everything, I still want my husband to come back home so we can be a family again. I know that might sound selfish or unrealistic given the circumstances, but I believe we still have a connection worth saving. I've told him that I want us to be together and that I'm too good for him. I suggested that we could let things be as they are, that he could look the other way regarding my relationship with my affair partner. I understand that this isn't a conventional or ideal solution, but part of me hopes that we can find a way to make it work. I haven't been able to let go of my affair partner, but I also don't want to lose my husband. I'm conflicted and confused about my feelings and what I truly want. My husband has become distant and seems resolute in his decision to proceed with the divorce. He's mentioned that he believes I might have narcissistic personality disorder because apparently that's the type of shit his therapist has been feeding him. Hearing that was a shock, and it's made me reflect on my actions and behavior over the years. I'm starting to recognize that I need help and that my behavior hasn't been fair to anyone involved. I'm considering seeking professional counseling to address these issues, but I'm worried it might be too late to repair the damage I've done to my marriage. I appreciate any advice or insights you might have. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Final update. So the divorce was finalized a few months ago. It's been tough adjusting to this new reality, but I'm trying my best to move forward. I wanted to spend some quality time with the kids in a while. I only got supervised visitation in the divorce, so it's been some time between me moving out, finding a new place to live, changing my job and working weekends as well, that I've not been able to hang out with the boys. So I called my ex-husband to discuss planning an outing together. I suggested that we take the kids out for a fun day, maybe a trip to the zoo or a picnic at the park with some of our extended family. I thought it would be good for the kids if we could put aside our differences and spend some time together as a family. He listened but seemed indifferent. He told me that while it sounds nice, he'd prefer to do his own thing with them and that I could arrange my own separate time with the kids. He didn't elaborate much and ended the conversation shortly after. I can't help but feel hurt. I know I've made mistakes in the past, but I genuinely want to make things work between us for the sake of our children. It feels like he's unwilling to move past our issues, even just for appearance's sake. My children are drawing away from me, and that's the most painful part. They don't call me much, and when I reach out, they often don't answer. I worry that they're distancing themselves because of everything that's happened. I'm starting to regret this whole thing, not gonna lie. While my affair partner number 2 has been supportive, it doesn't fill the void I feel with my family drifting away. I'm beginning to have second thoughts about the path I've taken. I'm scared that I've lost not just my marriage, but also a close connection with my kids. I want to rebuild those relationships and be there for them, but I'm not sure how to go about it when it feels like all doors are closing. Story 2. I think I emotionally cheated on my BF of 3 years, and I don't know how to proceed. I think I'm going to throw up. I'm so guilt-ridden with it all. I'm just going to try to go through it all and try to gain perspective. Long story short, my ex found my Reddit account and reached out to me, and we have chatted on and off since. I cut contact with him, though, for several months because it was becoming a problem. He reached out to me when he was having problems with his wife, and I saw the signs and didn't want to be part of that. And I didn't want to put myself in a precarious situation. But a couple weeks ago, I saw he posted about getting divorced, and it was a pretty sad suicide-invoking description, so I thought it best to reach out and check on him. That was my only intention at the time. We kept chatting after trying to get him in a better emotional standing from it all. Then we began reminiscing through text about the old relationship. A few things were said that shouldn't have been, and I regret it. Most of the time we had platonic discussions, though, and I think I just complimented him and said nice, reminiscent things to him because I wanted him to feel better about himself, and in result made me feel nice. No sex talk or pics were involved. It was more supportive and uplifting, maybe borderline compliments. This lasted a couple weeks, but I just put a stop to it yesterday because I realized I was attempting to hide text from my SO. I have now deleted my Reddit that my ex knew and deleted all texts and told him we can no longer talk. But what do I do or say to my SO? Where do I go from here? I think I am going to make a therapy appointment for my first step because my SO is everything I could ask for, and I'm not sure why I put myself in this situation. I'm not sure if our relationship is lacking something or if I am self-sabotaging. I didn't grow up with a healthy example of a good relationship from my parents. My dad was physically and emotionally abusive to my mom and was also a serial cheater. My mom ultimately took her own life a few years ago because of my father. I'm not trying to make excuses for myself, but I'm just trying to get to where this bit of out of character point has come for me. I've never ever put myself in a position like this and have no idea why I would ever put myself in this position either. I need help and don't know what to do. Should I tell my SO or go to therapy and try to fix it there? I cut contact completely and want to work 100% at trying to work on myself and what's wrong. because nothing is wrong with my SO. He's everything. Hey there, Ruff. First off, I'm sorry you're going through all this. It sounds really overwhelming. It's a big deal that you're recognizing these patterns and wanting to make a change. Reaching out to a therapist is a great first step. They can help you unpack your feelings, understand why you found yourself in this situation, and work through the issues stemming from your past. It's not about making excuses, but about understanding yourself better so you can heal and grow. As for telling your SO, that's a tough call. Honesty is important in a relationship, but it's also crucial to consider how sharing this will impact both of you. Maybe discuss this with your therapist first to figure out the best approach. They can help you decide whether telling your SO is the right move and how to navigate that conversation if you choose to have it. Remember, everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how you move forward. Be kind to yourself, focus on self-improvement, and take it one step at a time. You've got this.